Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangru. Hello.
And folks, we are back for some more League coverage. Now we see some scouts coming out. We are on the map of Tsel. Rang, who do we have? What are they bringing?
On left-hand side in the blue, we have ourselves Inshaa playing 4th Alpini with Maverick income. Right-hand side in the red, we have P. Ritana playing 126 Mounted Infantry, also with a Maverick income.
We actually might see a dead recon plane in the first run. No. Interesting. Zis 12, not exactly a common early pick. You gotta wonder if he was thinking to himself, you know what, I'm going to recon, he's probably going to recon, I might as well try to shoot his shit down.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of game theory, and it did pay off, because now he is going to have reconnaissance advantage, and he's probably spotting all of the Italians before they can make it to the front line.
Now, this is a mountain division. And in fact, I believe your thought was this is two kind of mountain divisions fighting back and forth. Whose mountain is higher? Are we talking Alps or are we talking, the Caucasus?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, not geographically speaking.
Know. Okay.
I was like, I have absolutely no idea.
Geographically speaking, I'm going to say Caucasus, and then people in comments, you can tell me I'm wrong. But anyway, in regards to both divisions, infantry spammy, Italians more light armor focused, rather Russians have a little bit more medium and heavyish armored units. But it should be quite an interesting matchup. I mean, it's not so much a mountain map, it's more of a forest map, but it's still pretty much the same thing in SD terms.
Well, the Italians are dressed for the forest, I will say. They have their adorable caps. They have plenty of, I would argue, semi-auto and automatic fire here. And one-on-one, I mean, they're going to do fairly well. It's just that their vehicles themselves are just so lackluster, to put it mildly, that I feel like the 26th will just kind of look at them, sneeze, and blow away half a division.
Yeah, it's going to be very important with those Italian light vehicles to maneuver him about and just try to get, flanking maneuvers or get up close and personal. But it can be quite scary if he does move him about quite well. And he does get more than per se. Yeah, he definitely does get more compared to the Russian. So he can be affording to throw him about and losing him, which is quite a decent bonus. But so far, I mean, nothing really too crazy. Really, most of the action happening in the center of the map, as we're seeing the Pioneers push the Superiors off the central hill position.
Yeah, and I think it bears kind of acknowledging what these squads look like. I mean, Alpini Recluta, I mean, it's a rifle squad. It's a rifle squad with an Italian Bren gun. But Alpini down to the south, I mean, these guys, again, these Italian Pigrens.
Yep.
I mean, so it's kind of soothing to a certain extent that we have a lot of different infantry over here for the Italians, but we have a good enough amount of analogs that we can kind of see how they would match up pretty well with the Gornostrelkovy, the Superiors, things like that. So,
but yeah, I don't know. It's just okay. We're seeing a bit more of a tank investment from Tana. He does have those speedy BT7s available. I think where's he going to be deploying them? More towards the northern parts of the map here. As we've seen the auto blenders make some progress through. Going to be a little bit ballsier. Probably going to go down once he gets spotted. But he might be able to take down a tank or two.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the funny thing. The BT7 can actually not technically stand up to the auto blender.
Oh no. That's very thin armor. But the BT7s, if he maneuvers them around correctly, he can really do a lot of hassle behind the enemy line.
Well, for right now, he's got to do something, because it is 13-11. Not quite that -2 bleed just yet. But regardless, that BT7, the BT7s are swinging back and around. We saw this happen over here with the Terrans back on Tuesday. These light tanks, you had to have a soft spot in your heart for them. Just that they have a soft spot in their skin. But
which is the entirety of it.
Exactly.
It's all a weak point.
Exactly. They would never survive in high school, I can tell you that. But the BT7's rotating. They're going to try to probably carve the Alpini over here a new one. and the Auto Blinda are going to catch him on the turn. He's going to probably get one, like you said. Then again, I've been wrong before. Jeez. But,
he's just trying to pull back as the BT-7's charged, but of the attack move, they don't have enough time to aim because he's in the forest. So he's going to be sneaking about.
Which is really quite funny because the BT-7s have 20 kilometers an hour more in terms of speed.
Yeah. This is the weird targeting glitch with the AI.
Yeah, that's fair. I just did not appreciate how speedy those things are. Jeez, they're fast.
Yeah, the Russians, on a tangent, had some really cool tank designs in the mid-war period. Mm-hmm. Some of them are really weird and stupid, like the T-35, but then you get like the BT-7s, the T-28, all of that stuff. They were very experimental during the time period.
Very experimental just feels like a gentle way of saying they were complete crap when you put them on the field, but they're really cool ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, and the war happens. Like, hey, maybe let's just do T-34.
It's like, guys, we know one day there will be a game called World of Tanks, and people at the low tiers will pay money to play us.
Yeah. Sergey, draw it out on a napkin. We're gonna have you as a premium.
Exactly. If
it's on the napkin, it's in the game.
Unfortunately, the Italians not enjoying the same kind of things. M1542s over here getting taken out by the Lees, which you know it's bad when the M3 Lee is just pantsing everybody. So
yeah, that's going to be a pretty nasty tank that Inshaa is going to have to deal with, because that can provide a lot of good fire support and just really mess up the tanks. We're also seeing a Pack 40 being brought up, and that should be enough. Does he have a line of sight? Barely.
He's going to BT-7s. BT-7s first.
But it's a very good push here from Tanner. I mean, always pushing a north and central position on the hill is weird, because you'd think there'd be a flag in that town, but there isn't. So you don't really gain any point advantage, but it's a great territorial gain, because it really allows you to pivot up north or down south.
That is very, very true. There is a Lee way downtown engaged in that Pack 40. And mildly amusing, I don't think... That's not technically a Pack 40, I mean, it's a 75 mil.
It's a Pack 40. It's just named red.
Oh, wow, you're right, jeez.
It's Italian. It's Italian.
Yeah, but... And whatever. Do you want to call attention? We have actually a bit of a Russian rush down to the south. This is going to carry at least one of these flags. I would argue probably going to get back into that mortar that's behind that first forest on the southern hillside.
Yeah. I do love that BT-7, Russ. He is full sending it up north over that hilltop. I mean, it's going to be a dangerous position. We're seeing some Italian tanks being brought in for reinforcements. But he could cause a significant amount of damage if he manages to break through.
Italian tanks, I call them targets.
Yeah. He does have the P-26, which is the closest things the Italians had to a feasible medium tank. They couldn't really produce that many because they ran out of engine.
Worth mentioning, that southern push, completely halted by that 45 mil. Ridiculous. Wow. The amount of firepower that thing puts out is terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah, the high fire rate against such, thin-skinned tanks, that thing is bloody deadly. I'm just seeing skirmishing along the central hill position between the Gornos and the Alpini. The Gornos being forced to fall back due to the firepower advantage thanks to those 45mm near mortars, quote-unquote.
Now, the BT-7s we're getting kind of a very grand pincer movement. To the point of being idealistic, I would say, as a northern Pack 40 is going to engage and take out the flanking BT-7s. The southern ones, they should be able to at least engage and not lose too many of their number from this 35 mil, 20 mil, excuse me.
Yeah. And this is the map where you can really be experimental, so to speak, and do these weird maneuvers through the forest. Yeah, I do love seeing that.
Because it's such cool fire lanes, for lack of a better term. Just movement. There's all these little tiny forests are each little fortresses, but still fascinating nonetheless.
Yeah, and we've seen the 410 being brought out to try and spot them. And going to be Raven to the Boston as well. Both sides really using recon plane quite heavily. And on Tsel, definitely a smart move. This is a map which really benefits good recon plane play.
Very, very true. No, there had been 76-2 artillery pieces in the back, and they have been very, very effective in kind of supporting the front lines for the Russians. They're out of ammunition right now. But, I mean, they still have smoke rounds, and I wonder if it wouldn't be a good idea to use that smoke on that southern hillside instead of just throwing your troops into the teeth of the Pioneers one more time.
Yeah. He really needs some sort of fire support to help him out on that hill, because those Gornos are not enough, unfortunately. Those Pioneers are rail dug in, and they have bloody flamethrowers. And I don't want to charge a guy who has a flamethrower, Colonel. That's something that's not going on the bucket list.
Well, unless it's the last item on your bucket list.
Go out in a blaze of glory. Quite literally.
Exactly. Not really the brightest of ideas, but hey. It's like that old Daffy Duck comment. You get a great trick, but you can only do it once. Now, to be fair, we are still seeing these Pioneers are taking those Gornos to this school. Jeez, wow.
Yeah. Those Italian infantry can be quite scary. Same thing with the Gornos. The Gornos are pretty decent, but of course the problem is they have, well, apart from the Avtos, usually pretty smaller squad size, you do have the Morsk Pehoters, which are really good squads, and the beefy infantry for the mountain division. So we're probably going to be seeing more of them to the B phase to hold the line.
Now, we are seeing some PTRSs being moved into the northern sections of this fight. Down south has had a mild amount of engagements, but Tsel is not really something that rewards play to the southern side of this mountain.
Yeah, we never see play.
No, unfortunately we don't, but we are seeing maybe a potential light vehicle rush to the northern side. We got an Autoblinde 41, this is in German here, and a couple more of those M1542s. The BT-7s are all dead or will be soon enough. There's just one Lee that's really just kind of hanging on out here to the north.
Yeah, and honestly, losing those BT-7s is kind of big, even though yes, they're not the biggest or scariest tank. Tanner doesn't have a whole lot of tank. Apart from that, he has some KV-85s and M3 Lees. And the KV-85s are bloody scary, because they're a nasty heavy tank. But on a map like this, nasty heavy tanks aren't going to help you out. So, Inshaa, if he can spread out all his armored vehicles effectively, he can provide a decent amount of fire support to all of his sectors. And that really just gives you the opportunity to maneuver about with those tanks. For Tanner, heck, he doesn't even have a whole lot of anti-tank guns. It's in B and C phase, or a lot of his anti-tank guns are this 57, which are just kind of overkill. Like, he has a lot of overkill anti-tank against the Italians, basically.
Well, the Soviets don't really have a whole lot of underkill when it comes to really any weapon system. It's, I'm going to destroy you, and I'm going to just obliterate your family while doing it, too, who are still living back in Siberia.
We need an anti-tank gun, 152 millimeters.
Exactly.
High explosives.
By the way,
there won't be much of a panther left.
Speaking of high explosives, the 76-2s have been resupplied. You can see the effect of that right now. The Pioneers getting overwhelmed by 6 squads of Gornostrelkovy Superiors.
Yeah. That's a really effective push there from Tanner. Going to be clearing up that hill. The Crescenters really be able to really take advantage and push onto the opposing hilltop, or the other side of the hill, so to speak. There's not a whole lot stopping right now. It's just about will he make the risky maneuver of crossing the open ground.
If you believe his movements right now, no. But I think it's just because he's trying to clean up this Pioneery. He's not sure why there's still a piece in his lines. It's just not necessarily falling over. But I think that caution is going to cost, and it's going to cost him dearly.
Yeah. Inshaa is going to be able to relocate the auto blinder. Yeah, well, we do have an M3 Lee on the hill, which will provide a decent amount of fire support. It's going to be very important just to keep what little tanks Tanner has alive right now. Probably used up the last of his BT7, and probably almost all of his M3 Lees.
True. But it is still 14-10, and that's one thing we haven't really talked about very much recently, is that it has been a Soviet bleed this entire time.
It's going to be a 15-9 soon, because the other flag on the hill does end up flipping over, and this is really going to force Inshaa to make a push somewhere. He's investing a lot in, well, tanks all over the bloody place. The question is, can he utilize them effectively?
He's putting a lot of oomph in the northern side, and you can see right now Gornostrelkovys and M3 Lees being driven here to the central, like this north central position. But look at the far north. I think we're seeing a slowly developing attack from the Italians. It's just, I think it's too slow, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. He just needs to try and make a concentrated push somewhere. I think he's trying to deal a lot with the central position. Just trying to regain that one flag to slow down the bleed. Pioneers going to come in and finish off those superiors, easy peasy style. Yeah, I do like his 7 push. It's going slow, but he is slowly making progress here.
Inshaa.
Inshaa. Like, he's pushing through. He's very close to capturing that town by the crossroad flag, which is a very big pick, because once you get to that crossroad flag and secure that area, it's very hard to counterattack.
True, but the question here, though, is 6 squads are being thrown into the central position along with 2 Lees. We have another 6 or 7 squads being thrown into the northern side. So, actually, this is the next big engagement that's going to happen here. The first M1441 is being thrown into the front line, which is not going to go well, let me tell you.
Yeah, just a spam of anti-tank rifles will prove to be quite well here for Tanner against all these lightly armored Italian tanks. Definitely makes up for lack of light AT weapon in the rest of his tabs. And god damn it, that's a lot of Gornostrelkovy. That's what he needs. That's what he needs.
Well, and that's the thing, too. Like, what do? Do you keep the guys in the forest? No, you do exactly what he's doing right now, and you sprint him forward. You take the fight the other direction. See if you can pick up a garrison. The mortars are going to be fine at you anyway. You might as well try to do something more aggressive.
Yeah. And those infantry, I mean, SVTs, PPSHs, the beefy squad with a lot of firepower.
He has recognized the danger in the south, by the way, too. Another 7 squads of Gornostrelkovys are being rushed down there, too.
It's definitely a very critical moment in this southern push, because Inshaa hasn't really secured the southern side yet. This Gornostrelkovy push, and also a good amount of air power, can force us back. I mean, Inshaa does have some tanks nearby, but he's not pushing them up.
This is a moment that, for me, honestly, I think I'd rotate my ZIS-12s south and just use them as infantry suppression.
Yeah.
But then again, that's always been kind of my anti-air. Because it was always kind of funny for me. I feel like if your anti-air is on the back of a truck, it's better shooting at the fleshy bits as opposed to really shooting at the metal-y bits. That's what you have the emplacements for. But, you know, I know that's a bit of probably a war crime waiting to happen. So.
But you're also just seeing, I think what's really allowing Tanner to win this is that he's got these concentrated pushes. I mean, in the central area, he's got a massive chunk of infantry. Where we're seeing with Inshaa, it hasn't been so much a concentrated attack. I mean, up north we're seeing a little bit of a push here, but it's really just...
No, it's not anymore. Look at they're all retreating.
They're all running away. And it just doesn't have that concentrated firepower to actually make any good headrays. It's been smaller, you know, skirmish engagements.
Which is it's kind of funny when you think about it, because let's say in a more real life kind of situation, both of these approaches do have their benefits. It's just right now, what we're seeing is these heavy kind of sledgehammer blows smacking around, and Inshaa he's going to kind of have this rolling attack, this constant pressure, which would be great if he outnumbered his opponent for a consistent basis. But when you can rush 7 squads of infantry there every 30 seconds, kind of a problem.
Yeah. And Shell really does reward you for making those concentrated spearhead pushes, because when you get into the enemy territory, it's a lot of forest, which allows you to dig in quite well, and you can really hold on to the territory you gain quite easily.
True. Actually, I do love these P40s running cap. I don't know, this Focke-Wulf is going to get stressed enough yet. Did he get his bombs off? No, he didn't.
No.
And he dies for it as well without getting his... Oh, wow. That's actually a huge kill just for the moment here. Not just because he didn't get the bombs off, but because he also died for it.
Yeah, and as you're seeing, the Gornostrelkovys have been able to clear the Italians off the point. Only now are the tanks coming in for fire support. Yes, they're not the greatest tanks, but just any sort of fire support during that initial push definitely would have helped out Inshaa quite a bit. And just that central position is nasty. Like I said, once you make a concentrated push, I mean, Tanis has kind of spread out his forces, and that's going to take time for Inshaa to try and rout out every single Russian mountain troop.
Well, and the funny thing is, if you look to the northern side, in the same way that I was talking about this kind of steady pressure, we're seeing that now happening over here from the Russian side of things, which is curious to say the least. Command vehicles going down. There's one up in Recluta over here to the northern side. M1441 goes down. The funny thing about this is that from a strictly territorial perspective, this really should be more than just, oh, there we go, some -2 bleed. But for the longest, in the last couple of minutes, I feel like it deserved to be more than a -1 bleed.
Yeah.
But you can see right now, for example, small little victories here and there. Northern central town. This is still going to be an Italian town. Unfortunately, there's nothing really there to kind of justify that kind of payment for it.
I always find it weird how there was no flag in that sector. Always feels like it should have been a flag here, because that's a, you know, it's a town, geographically important. But unless you can really push from that town and, you know, bring port into other areas of the map, it's just kind of wasted space, so to speak. And as we're seeing, Tanis is, you know, full committing in the far northern sector, finally getting a little bit of pushback here. Some Italian armored vehicles are being brought up, but not enough to really be too much of a concern.
Well, the interesting thing for me is that we actually finally have the first off map that we've seen all week, which I find phenomenal, and I'm not even sure he's gonna get a shot off because of all of this just artillery going over that direction. We have all these 75 mics that are just shelling the north mercilessly. And yeah, first off map artillery we've seen all week, and I'm actually really quite pleased at that.
Yeah. From this match and also the previous match, both sides have been using quite a lot of air power to supplement their off-map artillery usage, and it's been working out quite well. Those P40s, especially Tana, have been quite consistent in their ability to just blow things up.
But, you know, I always talk about it being more dynamic, and I can't help but constantly just repeat that. Actually, I do have to see how this 203 goes, because there's more than enough Italians here that this could break the back in the north. But this is what, 200 points?
At least, yeah.
And an awful lot of veterancy as well. And immediately the Russians are moving forwards on it. They're going to take some losses for sure, but already taking out some command vehicle, pressuring an awful lot. Yes, they've taken themselves out of the fight in the meantime, too. I wish it were possible to have a rolling barrage. Or like a marching barrage. That'd be really, really cool to actually be able to do.
Like, be able to direct the direction of the off. That would be cool. I'd honestly be really cool if you could do that. Or like with a smoke barrage where it's like multiple layers.
Yeah, or just because it wasn't easy for them to do that. Sure, fair. Completely understood. But having a directionality to it, I think it would allow just a much more interesting push, and just kind of be like this, okay, we're trying to go and push right afterwards. That's the way you're supposed to do it, but the randomness sometimes I think causes hassles. Down south, Italians pushing back in. I don't think it's still going to be successful, but they're trying to shove, and Shaw surrenders. Yeah, I think that's the right call.
Yeah, just Tana managed to get such good territorial gains early on. Actually, very close on the KD, but in terms of the geographical captures, Tanner was definitely on top in that match. He was leading the momentum.
True. Unsung heroes, I would argue, would be the Lees. Not that they had crazy amounts of kills, but unsung heroes.
They were the tiger tanks of this match.
Yeah, and I'm kind of back and forth on how comfortable I feel saying that about, a Lee.
A coffin for 8 guys.
Exactly. The coffin, you don't get any kind of coffee out of it.
I know.
Is one Ziscon over here as well? Takes out 3 aircraft, so well done to him.
Not bad. And on the Italian side, the Pioneer, I think it was a bloke on the hill, really fighting an effective guerrilla, knocking out pretty much a platoon's worth of Russians. But apart from that, nothing too fancy on the Italian.
Yeah, I mean, there's one anti-tank gun getting a couple kills, and I mean, but all than that, I mean, still solid both sides. But I think that the pressure was definitely seen very, very skillfully done by Tanner.
Yeah, just those concentrated pushes, allowed him to gain the territory and allowed him to win the match.
Exactly. So, well done to you, sir. I will doff my invisible cap to you. Inshaa, and better luck next time. But you know what? I really appreciate seeing the Monte Rosso being brought on in.
That hat better have a feather in it, Khan.
Dude, if I could put a feather in that man's cap, I totally would do that. But that'll have to keep until next time. Until next time, though, folks, this is Conalwork.
I'm Rangaroo. Take it easy.